Hello and welcome to this week's 4Ps podcast. A couple days ago, I'm sitting there looking on the internet, scrolling, just like everybody else does, and I found out that my favorite television show, one that I actually look forward to watching every single week, is going to be canceled. It's after 4 seasons, they're going to cancel it. It's a great show. It makes me laugh. It has suspense. It has all that other stuff. And it's called, I shouldn't say it's my favorite, it's like my second favorite. My first favorite, you all know, it's Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. But this is a very close second, I will tell you that. And it's called Resident Alien. Great show. It's on the USA Network right now. Peacock, if you have it, if you're streaming. Very good show. If you've never seen Resident Alien, it's something that you go back to series 1 or season 1 and watch the entire series. It's a great series. You're going to laugh in parts. There are some parts that are corny because it's dealing with aliens and things like that. So there are some parts that are kind of like out there. But for the most part, great show. Great characters. You learn to fall in love with them. It's in a I don't know if it's a fictional town or not. I need to find out. But it's called Patience, Colorado. It is a great show. But now, after I told you about it, and this might be the first time you're hearing about it, if you've ever heard about it before, it is being canceled. It's done. And the thing is about Hollywood and about television and things like that, things get canceled pretty quick. The longevity, I remember back when I was growing up, now I'm going to sound really old, but I remember when I was growing up, you had like, Jeffersons and Welcome Back Kotter and All in the Family. You had Cosby Show, which unfortunately, if you're watching this just recently, we lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. It's just been a horrible week when it comes to Hollywood. With you had Malcolm Jamal Warner, and then that was shocking because he's a little bit older than me. And then you had Ozzy Osbourne, and that it wasn't as shocking, but it was still like, man, it was kind of sad. I don't really listen to there's 2 or 3 songs that I really do like that everybody else probably likes by Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. And then after that, Hulk Hogan. And then, just to add insult to injury, they had Chuck Mangione. Chuck Mangione, phenomenal trumpet player, probably one of the best. And you know what? He brought jazz music to a whole new generation of people. I mean, he is one of the people that, I can refer back to. The reason why I started listening to jazz, and I still listen to jazz even to this day, and I would say one of the reasons why is because, that music was pretty good, the stuff that Chuck Mangione played. And so we lost all those people. But I'm going to go back to what I was talking about before, about the fact that Hollywood is a pretty it's a tough business. And to be an actor, to be an entertainer, it doesn't matter if you're acting, singing, whatever. It is a very difficult, cutthroat, what have you done for me lately business. And just like all businesses, you need to have the right people. If you're working in that industry, you need to have the right people. And it takes a certain level of psychology. It takes a certain level of mindset, so to speak, to be in that industry, because it's not really like a 9-to-5 job. I mean, you might work for 2 or 3 weeks and the money might be phenomenal, and then you may go 6, 7, 8 months without having a steady gig. You have to just bits and pieces. And so the guy that we have on today, Albert Bramante, he is out of New York City. He does work directly with, and it's pretty complex in what he does. But the way he does it and the things that he does, we're going to have him on. We're going to have him on today. Now the thing is when we do talk to him, I mean, I know we want to think about the level of Hollywood, like, oh my gosh, this is what goes on behind the scenes. I want you to think about that. But I also want you to think about how you can use what Albert's saying to put yourself in a situation where you can, how you can navigate through your industry when you get done. We'll be right back right after this.
Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard. At DNP, we bring your dream, purpose, and passion to life in print. Whether your manuscript is ready to go or just an idea waiting to unfold, we're here to guide you. With expert editing, stunning graphics, and the knowledge to make your book a reality, we'll help you share it with the world. From book festivals to signings, this is your moment. Let's turn your dream, purpose, and passion into print. Connect with us today and make your dream a reality.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. Like I always say, I never, ever, ever, ever am short of fantastic guests, and today is no exception. Today we have Albert Bramante, and he is from my home state of New York. He is not from my home city of Buffalo. We could probably go back and forth all day about the Buffalo and the New York thing because there is a massive, I don't know if I could, what do you call it, Albert? Is it, there's some kind of rivalry or something between New York and Buffalo. What do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess maybe because you guys get a lot of snow and we don't. I mean, that would be. But I haven't heard of anything actually. So it's
You
kind of like
know,
the first I've heard of
wh-
that.
whenever I talk to somebody from New York City and I say I'm from Buffalo, they say, "Oh, you're from Canada."
Well, I haven't said that. I mean, I know you guys are way up there, but
Yeah, we're pretty
um,
close. We're pretty close. Matter of fact, I was literally the hospital that I was born in. They knocked it down now. It was just for all those guys in Buffalo listening. It was Deaconess Hospital in Buffalo, New York. They knocked it down, but it was probably about 3 miles from the Canadian border. So you couldn't get any closer than that. You know.
okay. Well, hey,
Other than
that is really close.
Albert, instead of talking about New York geography, we are here to talk about you. Albert, tell me, you do some very exciting things there in the New York City area. Can you please tell the audience what you do?
Sure. So I work with actors. I'm a talent agent. I represent actors across the board for film, TV, theater, commercial, print, voiceover. So I I serve as sort of as an employment agent for actors. So my role day to day is to work to find opportunities for actors in different areas of work in New York City. So I have clients that are working on stage. I have clients that are working on film. I have clients that are working on film and and TV. So and commercials as well. So there's a lot of stuff that I do in that. And I also have a background in psychology. So I noticed, from my years of working with actors, that performers, especially actors, have very unique challenges and very unique, the unique lifestyle, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
than the traditional 9 to 5 corporate educational sales type background. Actors have a different career path.
Absolutely, they do. Now, when you say different career path and different, and obviously, I mean, it is different. I mean, I could see when someone who works at a bank, and I'm not saying this just because it's a bank, all right, but when
Hmm.
someone works at a bank and they excel at their job, okay,
Right.
and they're excellent at their job, they could still go to the grocery store. They could still go to places and get what they need and not be bothered. Whereas if an actor excels at his or her job, that does, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to disrupt their routine in a way. And so you're saying that does that, and I don't, and even by using the word disrupt, because I know that you're in the field and you understand that that's a part of it. But
Yeah. Well, and that
go
brings
ahead.
up the point, actually, with that just going out to dinner. And most actors can't even do, especially high profile. The more high profile you are, the more difficult it is to have a normal life. If you just want to
Right.
go out out in town with family, you wouldn't just want to go for dinner. You want to go to the store to go get something. It's hard because you have everyone surrounding you, trying to get a picture of you, trying to get your attention. And one of the challenges, and I've heard this a lot from A-list actors, especially those that are very prominent, that most of the time these actors or at least the fan base, don't appreciate the person. They're flocked off to their persona or to the characters that they play.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of actors feel lonely, even A-list
Right.
actors, because people want to be around them, yes, but it's for their own, selfish validation. They want to be around the actors to visibly raise their own self-esteem, not because they generally care about the actor as a person.
Okay.
So that is a challenge that I've often run into.
Now I'm going to give you, and if you haven't heard anything about this, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But for the audience, I have a question. I'm sure somebody's gonna. I'm sure somebody listening or somebody's listening have this same question that I'm about to ask.
Hmm.
I'm thinking, all right, so I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up when they had all of the great 80s shows, the great 80s music and movies. There's some of the movies that I recall. Matter of fact, this weekend I was sitting there watching TV, and the very few little times I get to watch TV, and I was watching Weird Science. Do you remember that movie, Weird Science?
Oh, that was my favorite movies of the '80s.
I absolutely love that movie. And I was literally looking. There were a couple, and I know like Bill Paxton, he's passed on. And I do know, Anthony Michael Hall has gone on to have a great career still, a fantastic career. Even though Anthony Michael Hall, if I were to say, if Anthony Michael Hall did not have that great career, and I was in the grocery store and someone said I'm Anthony Michael Hall, I'd say no, you're not, because he doesn't look anything like the Anthony Michael Hall when he was younger. Not at
Right.
all. I mean, it's just kind of weird. But there are some actors. While I was sitting there watching the show, I was actually Googling like, where are they now? Like trying to find out where these people were. So my question is, even though I'm glad that both of you and I, we just bonded right there for life, because Weird Science was probably, it is in definitely my top 5 movies of the 80s.
I must
So,
have watched it at least 30 times as a kid.
oh, yeah, I love that movie. I absolutely do. I mean, it's great. And I don't know how many times I've watched it. I know I've watched it one too many probably, because I can tell you almost every line.
Hmm.
But what happens with actors when they go from the pinnacle to now they can go to the grocery store and they can go and live like a normal life, and they can go to a restaurant and very few people recognize them. What is the psychological effect on that?
Well, it's it's hard, especially when you're in your heyday. And then I think there's often a decompressing sound because, as you know, and you kind of alluded to it, there's often a life cycle of the actor. At some point, they're really in the heyday of their career, and then 10 years later, they become what we call has-been.
Yeah,
Okay, they were at one point. Sometimes they left the business, like especially with child actors. A lot of times they may have had a very good career as a child actor, notoriety, but yet when they become an adult, they're not relevant anymore because they
right.
look different, they sound different, and they may not cast. I mean, look at if you really want to look at the if anyone follows the movie The Sixth Sense, Haley Joel Osment, the kid in the late '90s, early 2000s, he was well
Oh yeah,
known.
absolutely.
Now,
Yeah,
Gen Zers probably would have no idea who he is.
right,
And if you see him as an adult, I would not have known. I've seen a picture of him as an adult. I would have not have recognized him. I would have just
right.
seen him on the street and that. Okay. Um, so, and sometimes for some actors, because they're so wrapped up in that, they often don't do very well when they're not in the spotlight anymore.
Absolutely. You're right.
Because
You're absolutely right.
it's a state of identity, and that's where sometimes you'll see if you, especially if you spend a lot of time in LA, if you go into a lot of rehab clinics, a lot of them are performers at some level,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the pressures of the industry.
So now, with your work in the industry and understanding the psychology and understanding the business, how do you approach? What approach do you take with your clients? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. So what approach? I mean, so typically, as the typical agent, my role is to sign actors and to really pitch them as a service. But the challenge for, I think, a lot of actors, their frustration is their agents don't care. And the reality is that some agencies may look at their clients as commodities
Yeah, yeah, that's
and,
true.
and not as people. So I like to think, at least, in the way I approach it, is they're people first,
Okay,
and they're human beings first. And then obviously, they're talented actors and I want to get them, like to get them seen and visible. But at the end of the day, they're people first.
right. So Hollywood, New York City, it's all changing. Okay,
Sure is.
couple things. We have had a couple of work stoppages when it comes to actors in the recent years, um,
Hmm.
and I hate to say it, but a lot of actors are now being replaced by AI.
Especially voice actors, I would
Yes.
say. It,
So
mhm.
go ahead.
Well,
No,
I was
keep on
going
going.
to say, even though AI is developing at an exponential rate, it's still not, AI video is still not quite there yet. Because
Right.
if you look closely, even the realistic avatars and figures, you can still tell are robotic like if you look at them up and close. So I don't think we're there yet. Although who knows what 2 or 3 years or 4 years from now it's going to look like. And it's much cheaper to generate a movie. Now, the downside here is at this point I think AI lacks creativity. So
Yes. That is actually not a downside for your clients. It
not a
is
downside
definitely,
at all. But I'm saying
but
the
it,
downside for the AI, the creator business was thinking, well, I'll just replace actors for movies. You're gonna right now the state of AI where it's at right now is you would really have some pretty subpar movies if you just
yes, absolutely.
wrote a movie with AI.
Yeah,
It would just
and that
not.
is true. And I will say this: movies are. There was a couple of years where I'm like, dude, this really sucks. We're not getting anything out. The last couple of years, though, we have been getting some really good quality movies again, and I am extremely happy about that.
Yes, yeah, I would agree. And yes, we did have some setbacks. We had the pandemic in 2020, which got all production went on a standstill for months. And then in 2023, we had the strikes. We had the Writers Guild strike and the SAG-AFTRA Screen Actors Guild strike,
Right.
which really held actors back. Although I will say publicly, I fully support the unions. I think their fight was justified. I think that they, had really good grounds to fight for the rights of their members. Although can
Right.
also admit it took a toll on the industry and took a toll on the actors and not only to the actors but even the producers and production people, all the staff that makes a movie or a TV show. And that's one thing I think a lot of people don't really understand, that it can take thousands of people to make a movie. It's not
Exactly.
we're just watching the front end, the actors. But behind
Right.
the scenes, you have lighting, you have electric, you have construction, you have, design and all that. So, and editors and a full team of editors. So there's so many people that are working behind the scenes and they were put out of work for a while. So we're
Absolutely.
talking at least, hundreds of thousands of people that were out of work that were normally could have been working at any given moment.
Absolutely. Now, here's the other question I want to ask you.
Hmm.
We have, I don't know how many streaming services. All right. I think I have like eight or nine of them in order for me to watch all the shows I need to watch.
Yeah.
How is that helped? I mean, I just talked about things that hinder actor opportunities. Does that
Well,
help at all or no?
I would say more on the yes side because there's more opportunities. There's more shows being produced, especially in New York. Because when I first started, you only had the soap operas, you had the Law and Orders, and then the Sopranos. It was only a handful number of shows that were produced yearly in New York. Everything was out in LA. So if you really, in the early 2000s when I was starting out, and prior even in the 80s and 90s, if you wanted to be a film actor, you had to go to LA. That was like
Okay.
the moment. Now theater is still New York. The capital for New York is theater. So if you wanted to work theater, you worked in New York. If you wanted TV and film. Around 2012 through 2013, Hulu and Netflix started to get in the game of original content.
Right.
As we all remember, Netflix first started as a DVD rental, and now became a totally streaming service. So they put out some really cutting edge shows, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and some of the other stuff. And then Hulu came out with so many, and now Amazon, and then you have YouTube, and then you have Disney and Apple and all these other services. So the amount of TV shows and series and even original movies are exponentially growing. Now, the only slight downside from an actor's standpoint is the amount of money.
Right. I was going to ask. There's a cut now since there's a saturation.
Since there's saturation, most actors, unless you're really like a high profile actor, most actors are not going to make enough money to have a living wage, even if they're working constantly in film and TV. I mean, I knew people who were regulars on Netflix episodes where they were, meaning that they were the main cast, and yet they still needed a survival job.
Yeah, I believe that. I absolutely believe that.
So
Now,
that's the challenge of it. And then residuals. Now in the past, you got a generous residual every time the show airs, sort of movie, depending on or how long it's been in the box office. You would get a cut. Now with streaming services, it was a little hard, and that was one of the aspects of the union's dissatisfaction with streaming services because they weren't getting enough residuals. It's hard to track. Because at least with traditional TV, you go by how many times the show's aired.
Right, and then with streaming services, you can't really. Well, you can measure how many times it's viewed, but it's a lot different.
It's a lot different because you talk about individual viewings at different times. At least with TV, okay, they're airing the rerun at this time. You can tell how many people tuned in,
Right.
So that was easier. I mean, there was ways of doing it, but it's just a lot harder. And I think a lot of streaming services are trying to cut corners. So it's like, well, and of course, the actors and the actor representatives, the agents, were fighting for their clients, and rightfully so.
Right. Now, you actually took all of your knowledge, you took all of your expertise in the film industry and in psychology, and you put together a book. Can you please tell our audience about your book?
Sure. It's called Rise Above the Script, and it deals with actors, mastering self-sabotage for actors. It became born out of a necessity of when I first started my agency, I was kind of bewildered and shocked about how many actors were their own worst enemy by self-sabotaging themselves. And for me, it was just, wow, this is amazing. What's going on here? What's up with these darn actors? In a sense, that's what I kept asking myself. They want to work, but they're not. They're sabotaging or they're getting in their own way. And I was also at the time going for a PhD, and I went to my advisor because we had to propose a dissertation topic. I was like, well, I don't see much written on actors in the literature, in psychology. So, and they agreed, and so my dissertation, which landed me my PhD, was self-defeating behavior in performing artists. And so several years later, like 8 years later, I decided I'm going to write a book. Might as well. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like where the book was born out of. So there's a lot of, I have a lot of examples for actors in there and performers, but I also have a lot of examples and exercises in there that can be good for anybody who deals with self-doubt and self-sabotage.
Okay. Very good. The name of the book again?
It's called Rise Above the Script, and it's Confronting Self-Doubt and Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Now, I will say, when I think about that, I think about artists who literally kind of wised up to the industry. And one of the artists that, and obviously, I mean, it was very public, so it's very easy. One of the artists that really wised up to, hey, you're screwing me here, is Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was fantastic. As he was a brilliant musician, but he was also a great businessman. He had a lot of street smarts and a lot of savvy, mm-hmm. and he really, I mean, and he was very vocal about it. About, hey, this is what's going on here. And I think he kind of started a swing in changing where artists do take a little bit of control over their destiny. A little bit. Some of them still aren't, but there's still a little bit of control there.
Well, I think it brought awareness to it. And because even though it's called, you're an actor or an entertainer, it's still called show business for a reason.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
So it's really important for anybody who's listening as an actor to have a business mindset, mm-hmm. and business savvy.
And I'm glad there are agents out there like you, Albert, because a lot of them will just go along with the program, and that is a good thing that you are out there doing that. I remember reading about and I'm going way back, so I'm sorry, but I remember reading about the Little Rascals and how those kids got totally screwed over. The old acts of the old doo-wop acts back in the 50s, how they were getting getting the shaft. Even Creedence Clearwater Revival, they got messed up a little bit. So it's good that you have people out there like you that talk about hey, this is things that you need to be mindful of when you get into this industry, and that's very good that you're out there doing that.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Albert, for being on the show. You need to buy his book. His book will the title and how to find the book will be in the podcast notes. Don't forget, where can we find you other than in my podcast notes?
So you can go to albertbramante.com. You can also go to my LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn under Albert Bramante, as well as all the social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Just look me up at Albert Bramante, and I'd be happy to connect.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you also, not only are you happy to connect, there are a lot of people out there that I'm sure that are aspiring to get into show business. You absolutely need a man like this who's going to tell you honestly, and he's going to treat you like a human being, like you're supposed to be treated. And if you are trying to get into Hollywood, if you're trying to get into acting, you don't have to get to Hollywood anymore. Like Albert said, I mean, you could do it anywhere. Some of my greatest television shows are not even filmed anywhere near Hollywood. And so Albert will be there to help you out through the process. Again, Albert Bramante. You can see him at albertbramante.com. And I will have some ways to link up with him. So if you are looking for even just help in psychology and have him speak at one of your events, we will have a way for you to contact him in my podcast notes. Albert, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will be right back right after this.
Grief is a language we all understand, but healing begins with shared stories. Stories of Friends and Family Loss brings together powerful first-hand accounts from those who've experienced unimaginable loss and found strength on the other side. Whether you've walked that path or love someone who has, this book is a tribute to love, resilience, and remembrance. Available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. Stories of Friends and Family Loss, because no one should grieve alone.
Welcome to the final segment of the Four Piece Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Albert. It's funny how when we get entertained, we just watch, we watch whatever we watch or listen to whatever we listen to. We don't realize all the competition. It's like, we look at all the talent that these individuals who are entertaining us have, yet we don't understand all the ins and outs of what they have to go through. And now with technology the way it is right now, that's a new challenge for individuals right now. I really something they have to watch out for. Obviously, something their agents have to watch out for, and we'll see what happens with that. But we will be back next week. And next week we have a lady by the name of Jennifer Jensen. Jennifer Jensen is a Canadian. She is from the province of Alberta. Now, the funny thing is when we started this interview, we recorded this a while ago. Remember, I'm out running around doing my tours and stuff like that, so I won't be able to really turn around the stuff that I used to turn around. So I do have some interviews that are behind. But when we were talking about the Stanley Cup. And I'm going to tell you, she is from Calgary, Alberta, and her response to what we were talking about in the in our interview, it was funny, and it just shows that Battle of Alberta thing is super, super true. We'll be back next week, and I hope you guys have a great week. Again, we are in summer here in the United States of America, and it is blazing hot, so stay cool. And I've been watching those temperatures in New Zealand and Australia. Let me tell you right now, I know you guys are complaining about cold, but they really do look inviting at this point in time. It really does. I wouldn't mind cooling down a little bit because it is super hot, even up in these mountains here in North Carolina. We will talk to you next week. Don't forget, I forgot to say, please like and subscribe to the program. Also, don't forget our contest that we have going up. I almost forgot to say about that. I almost forgot the contest. Please, I want you to share a video of, tell us about some of the challenges that you have. And not only could you win one of my 4 Ps books, but you can also have a chance to be on our podcast, because we are all about real stories with real purpose here on this podcast. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.